Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I, as always, am your host, Andy Burrows. And as always, I am joined by my good friend and tag team partner, Mr. Adam Cousins. Adam, how are you, sir? I feel like I see you more than my own family.
You do, but you don't do all the podcast. I'm sometimes.
No, you are. Yeah, you do. I have to work. You're so lucky working from home. But Adam, yes. We have an amazing guest, my friend. And I call you the king of intros. You're going to have to go some to beat this guy today, my friend. Because he does quite a good wrestling intro, my friend. I'm just going to put it out there. But Adam, let's see what you can do, my man. Who is our amazing guest today?
Just before we do that, happy draft day for you, Commanders.
Oh, mate, yes, Commanders fans, man. Yeah, it's going to be a late. We're going to be picking about 2:30 in the morning, and let's hope Washington don't screw it up. But yeah,
I'm not even going to go there because I don't follow it. Anyway, as you say, guest. By the age of 20, he appeared in over 20 stage productions. Before moving into wrestling.
No, I'm stopping you right now.
What?
No.
It's been cut off. I love this.
I'm so sorry. This has happened on a few now, and it's nobody's fault. The Wikipedia is wrong. I don't know. That is
wasn't Wikipedia.
Then it got copy and pasted onto WrestleCage and blah blah wherever you found that file. It's BS. What that is here. This is a great story to start off your show with. That exact quote. I've had numerous people be like, "You started over 20." Before the age of 20, no. I did about 3 before I was 20.
Wow.
Because I was in high school and like just getting into acting. So that is from an article written by Byron Saxton for WWE.com that he did of me in character as Aiden English, bragging about that I had done 20, 30 stage productions before I was even 20. And somebody took that off WWE.com in character and pasted it into my Matt Rehwoldt Wikipedia. And it has since gone on to like the Aiden English bios and Matthew Rehwoldt Drama King bios on numerous wrestling websites. It's just propagated all over the place. So it's funny at this point. I laugh it off every single time, but now I interrupt everybody every time because it just makes me laugh.
That's my note.
Yeah, there we go. Rip up that intro.
Anyway, let me try and get some.
No.
Please, Adam, any chance you can get any of this intro right?
I doubt it now. I think it's done. He was at Chicago Style Wrestling as one half of the Right Stuff. There you go. Is that right? I'm just.
Matt, are we allowed to say this?
Yes, no. But so again, it's part of this tag team of the Right Stuff. One show with one guy that I met one time.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Very right. Super nice guy. We were on one show together one time and was part of like an 8-man 4-corner tag team match that they needed to do. And somebody there that night was like, "Oh, new tag," and they put it in, and it ended up following me in my bio everywhere. So I was never officially in a tag team called that. I mean, it's so funny.
Carry on. FCW.
That I did.
So yeah, there you go. I got it right.
We've got one. We've got one. How was the podcast? Well, the intro took 45 minutes, but it was good.
Anyway, started as a single, moved into a tag with Simon Gotch, the Vaudevillains, won the NXT Championship. Once they got called up to the main roster, Simon left or was released or whatever the story was, then created the greatest day that we all love, that being Rusev Day. And that got amazingly over, probably the fact that WWE didn't want it to get over, but it did, which was great. Since then, he's obviously done a couple of other bits, but Impact Wrestling's been his home. Now, I'm right on this one. You were the homecoming king, right? In 2021.
Yes, along with the homecoming queen, Deonna Purrazzo.
Well, I've got that. I've seen these notes do work. Okay. And since then, actually sits alongside the great Tom Hannifan on the commentary box. At Impact Wrestling. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been absolutely shafted, so I'm going to leave. And welcome Matt Rehwoldt to the show. Welcome, Matt.
No, thank you guys so much. I had to. I couldn't let journalistic integrity fall to the wayside in this interview. So I had to jump in
today. One with Texita and one with that. There we go. I've still got it wrong.
He's still got it wrong. Matt, it's great to have you on our podcast, my friend. Just talk to us a little bit about the early days in FCW, WWE. How did that all come about? All wrestlers, I think, throughout their life, all dream of getting to the big leagues. And the WWE, back in the day, it was WCW versus WWF. And, later on, we've had Impact Wrestling come along, and now we've got AEW. What was the early journey for you like, and how did it all begin?
I mean, for me, it was one of those things. For me, it was really like, as a kid becoming a fan, it was almost more than, I didn't really grow up with it because I didn't have cable TV we didn't have, it wasn't on TV in our house. It wasn't that it wasn't allowed. It just didn't really watch it. My brothers saw it a few times and like, that's it, but they weren't really fans. So I just never was really exposed to it. And then I didn't have cable TV during like the Monday Night Wars in the beginning. So for me, a lot of it was almost like my fandom started from FOMO. Like all the kids at school on Tuesday mornings would talk about, Goldberg and Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. And I'm like, who are these men and what are they doing that is so exciting? I need to find out. So eventually, I found there was some small time, like Shotgun Saturday Night used to be like a small recap show they would do.
Love that.
Oh yeah, on the weekends it would show you what happened on Raw. That was like my first like TV intro, and then SmackDown came to broadcast TV, and then I was finally able to start watching Raw and stuff. And from there, it just snowballed into obsession, fandom. Like it catches us all. I mean, we had
the same type of thing in the UK. So I think between like 1965 and 1980, we used to have World of Sport. And 4 o'clock on a Sunday was wrestling. It was Big Daddy, John Haystacks. And then probably, I would say late 80s. I was born in 84, so I'm younger than you, Andy, but older than you, Matt. So
you really are screwing up today.
Yeah. So it's probably like late 80s, early 90s, we got Sky. But we never had the chance to have the Monday Night Wars as such. So Raw would be, it was on a Friday, I think.
Raw was on a Friday. I think both Raw and Nitro were both on a Friday. One was on Sky and one was on Bravo TV.
Yeah, so remember Johnny Bravo, the great Johnny Bravo? That used to finish on Bravo, on Cartoon Network, and then boom, we was in Nitro Vision so we did have it in a way, but it wasn't live, and B, we had to, it was about 8. I think Raw started at 7 and Nitro was on 8, or the other way around.
We had it like on a Friday night, how you guys in America, we could flick on a Friday night between Raw and Nitro, and this is like pretty much before the internet days, so we didn't really know what was happening. So we're like, oh my god, this is happening on Nitro, this is happening on Raw. But as far as yourself, Matt, how did you get into becoming a pro wrestler? Because obviously all fans would love to have a go at wrestling. I mean, Jesus, we're going to an event on Sunday, and I just said to Adam, I want to run the ropes just once to say I'm done it. Nice. It will kill me. I'll probably die. My cardio is awful. But how did you take that step from being a fan to actually going, do you know what? I want to actually do this.
Yeah, I mean, it was something. I was just saying this the other day, like everything considering there's such a huge fandom, and then that eventually funnels to a point to the people who take the step to do it, and then of course that further funnels to the people who make it to a larger promotion or a TV level, etc. There is a point, I think, when you have to hit that wall where it's like, okay, do I want to / can I do this sort of thing? And I just had an aching suspicion. I feel like I get this world, like from a like age, even just like a physical aspect. I'm like, I get it. I kind of get what they're doing. And I was just saying the other day, for better or for worse, Tough Enough, when it first debuted, really opened my eyes, because even kind of like what you were just saying, this was before at least I was huge on the internet, and I wasn't scouring it for any little clips and all. I didn't know where to find stuff. So when that came on the air, and kind of, for me at the time, opened the gates of like, oh, that's how they do like body slams, and they're taking bumps, tucking the chin. They're doing these. I had never seen videos or explanations or anything like this at that point. So that kind of was like, okay, I think I get it. And like in high school, I did gymnastics, which for a 6'4" lanky string bean was not exactly the sport of choice. I did.
You just described me.
Yeah. Well, I should have been playing basketball. I should have been running cross country or something like that. All those things would have made way more sense, because gymnastics is kind of like wrestlers. It's usually guys who are about 5'5", built like little bricks, and you know what I mean, just swinging around, holding themselves in L's and V's and shapes that humans shouldn't be able to do. But yeah, so for me it was weird, but I did learn a lot of just like, which I think is almost even more important for wrestling than a lot of other sports, is like your physical control of your body. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just to be able to hold yourself and lift yourself up in certain positions, control yourself in a safe manner, which came into play a lot. So like I had a good knack for that. And so I just more than anything had a sneaking suspicion. I'm like, I think I could do this. I don't know how far it'll go. I don't know where it'll take me, but I'm like, I think I could kind of have a knack for this. And so the one thing for me was just my parents said, go to school. They was, I don't care what for. They're like, you can do 2 year, trade school, whatever. Just get a piece of paper that says you went to university, right? So if something doesn't work out, you have some kind of thing to fall back on. So of course I went to acting school. That's probably the worst thing to fall back on.
But did it actually help though, Matt, with the
yes,
acting school? Because obviously it's a lot more than just the move aspect of wrestling. There's the expression, the sell, the promo, the way you have to promote your body if you're angry or you're sad. So that kind of really helped. It sort of naturally made the game a bit more circular, really. So you've got the moves here, but you've actually got the acting bit that helps with the aesthetic side.
1000%. And like I mentioned, at the end of high school, I started getting into acting, and I did a couple plays and stuff, but I was by no means an expert. I was no super confident about it yet. So doing that, studying that in college and being inundated with that, talking in front of audiences, speaking in front of cameras, getting characters together, all of that paid huge dividends. In which honest to goodness, if I didn't have that base layer, that kind of background, I can't imagine I would have made it out of developmental, because like, again, I came down there from a physical standpoint. There's probably no reason I should have been hired and stuff in the first place. You know what I mean? I was tall, but that was about it. I wasn't huge. I wasn't, I'm definitely not tan. Not like a natural athlete, like someone they would have scouted, not a football player, not a basketball player, not something you would have scouted out. So having those promo days with Dusty and everything, I think really helped open people's eyes to like, there's something this kid can do. Beyond I did end up having a pretty decent knack for the in-ring stuff, at least again, just from a basics and a one-on-one standpoint. So yeah, no, it was go to school. And then from there, I pursued the FCW night class, which was Steve Kern at the time.
Oh yeah.
Hosting running his own class after hours at FCW, because he was the owner of Florida Championship Wrestling at the time.
Yes.
And my theory was just, hey, if I want to make it to WWE, to the big time or whatever, I want to learn how they do it. So like if Steve Kern, who kind of helps run developmental, is offering a class for like beginner 101, then like I said, I want to see how the WWE trainers train their guys. Yeah. So luckily I think that was a really great move for me. And luckily the class was taught by the incredible Norman Smiley.
Oh man, what a legend!
What a legend. Because I didn't know who would teach it. I'm like, was Steve Curtin teaching it? I know he's got a lot of other duties at the time. And then I walked in, it was Norman. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I love Norman, and had a great rapport with him. Great, still do to this day, and was just a really, really great education.
What was the toughest thing that you found about your training in your early time in developmental? Some people, you hear stories about some people who pick it up like that. Some people take a little bit of time. Some people are really good at the promo side of things, but they're in-ring, or sometimes their in-ring is really good. Then you need to go and see someone like a Dusty and really like work on your promo. How is it for you putting all them skills together? Like you've just mentioned Norman Smiley, you mentioned Dusty. I mean, wow, one of the greatest of all time to learn off. What was it like for you at the early training stages?
At the risk of sounding arrogant, it honestly, it all clicked. Yeah, I felt very, very much at home. Not that things weren't hard. Don't get me wrong. My God, my cardio was terrible. That's always been the worst part of wrestling for me. Is I'm not a great guy with long-term conditioning and stuff like that. Oh God, I blew up so much. But that sneaking suspicion that I had when I was younger, like came to pass. And I was like, yeah, everything felt that, taking bumps, posting, doing body slam, posting up for hip tosses, learning how to take care of someone else. I'm like, this all felt, I'm like, I feel like I've done this before, even though I hadn't. And then on top of that, like I said, I feel like I wasn't amazing. Even though I had the acting background, I still had to kind of adapt that and tweak that around. But it was a really, like, I don't know if I call it a light bulb moment, but like I remember those first days in the ring, it was just like home. It was like this, yes, okay, I made the right decision. Like, this does feel right. This feels natural, and I feel like I can do this. So for me, it was more just kind of navigating so that was the class, and then eventually getting to FCW as assigned talent and everything. It's kind of navigating, the personalities and where do you fit kind of in the totem pole of things, especially, I'm new not only to WWE and FCW as an organization, but I'm still, at that point, I'm still relatively new to wrestling. I'd only been, trained in wrestling for less than a year at that point.
Wow.
And so, like, I was navigating both, just again trying to get just better at matches and calling things and putting things together, and then also navigating the personalities and trying to get on the shows and seeing where I fit in the whole scheme of things.
So eventually, Matt, obviously you moved into a tag team with Simon Gotch, another a great wrestler, but you had some amazing tag teams down in NXT at this point. Obviously American Alpha, I think FTR was still there. I'm not, was Enzo and Cass still? Yep. Yeah, they were. For me, and I've said this before on a podcast with a wrestler on there, I feel like tag team wrestling was a dying art. Like when I grew up, as I said, late 80s, 90s, Demolition, LOD, Rockers, Midnight, Rock and Roll Express, all of those, great tag teams. I sometimes think like, and you do get it, you get one of those ones that I call the Sheamus and Cesaro, when you put two together and it works. It just works. But I do feel like, not so much. I think nowadays it's more concerned with more trios or six men. They still got the tag team there, but they're now focusing it on more six men and still forgetting the tag team division. I don't know. NXT was a good point. They had some great tag teams, but I just felt when that jump happened, as much as we were all like, oh, great, the Vaudevillains are on SmackDown or Enzo and Cass are on Raw, you kind of were waiting for that moment where it's gone. I just don't think they cared enough about the tag team. I don't know. Maybe you're going to correct me and say I'm not right, but I don't know.
No. I think that's true, and I think that's always been a weird ebbing and flowing, especially in WWE, in a lot of places, but especially there with people on that. Do we care about tag teams? Do we not care about tag? Like it seems like there's spurts of where they do. I think NXT did a especially during those early days, 14, 15, 16, etc. I think did a good job of making a nice little tag team division, especially of teams. And this is always a constant struggle. Teams that were made to be teams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's something that a lot of people, and again, if you've seen any interview that Dax has done and those FTR, huge, obviously the world's biggest proponents of great tag team wrestling and ready-made tag team wrestling. But like, because you see a lot, and it's cool, and I get it, of like star A and star B. Let's do a little run here, like, and there can be times when that's cool, little Hogan Savage, mega powers thing. But man, I remember, like, again, during those formative, like, early 2000s, the Edge and Christian, Hardy Boys, Dudleys, you know what I mean? But even the less, like slightly less iconic of like the Holly brothers, you know what I mean? The super heavyweights. So some of the guys, Midian and Viscera, and of course, like New Age Outlaws. Oh my God, those guys. Oh yeah,
Shrink as well.
Had bangers. All this stuff.
Mosh and Thrash.
God, you remember them? Jeez.
Yes, but yeah, I think there is something to that I think we lose from time to time. I remember it was a big point of contention during. What was the first, right? That first ever Dusty Invitational Tag Tournament.
Yeah.
That there was some grumbling amongst some of us in like the tag ranks that it came down to two, like, of the single stars put together. The finals were 4 singles guys who got thrown into tag teams for that. And then there was a little bit of salt in that tag team because, I mean, Blake and Murphy were there.
Yep.
The Mechanics, FTR were there. Yep. We were there. Enzo and Cass were there. And I think American Alpha was there or whatever. But yeah, and the guys who were in those finals were awesome. And obviously it led to Finn and Joe into a singles program, which I get. But yeah, there was a little bit of, which was always kind of the fight of like, okay, I know you got your main event guys doing this tag program, but come on, like these are your teams who are rip roaring ready to go. So it is a bit of a constant ebb and flow sometimes, but man, when it's good, it's so good.
Yeah. Do you think that like tag teams like yourselves and Dax, like you mentioned, would have been better suited maybe in the sort of late 80s, early 90s when tag team wrestling kind of was presented in the way that it should have been?
Oh God, I mean, maybe. I mean, do you got a DeLorean? I don't. So I don't know. But right. But that vibe, I think so. Sure, especially that. I mean, God, even especially those NXT tag teams, which I think one of the things NXT did so well too was kind of bringing back a little bit of that character and colorful, kind of like like very specific. There's a little cheesiness to a lot of them, especially us. You know what I mean? But very unique and like these defined characters that are different than just like guy A in black trunks, guy B in black trunks or red trunks or whatever, you know what I mean, doing wrestling moves. Like they had characters, and the 80s, early 90s were rife with characters like that. So I think we would have fit in super well. A lot of those teams, a lot of those personalities from that time in NXT in general would have fit in so great during that time.
How do you your time in NXT for me was the crop of talent that you guys had in NXT from when yourself got called up and so many other talents. Was it a case of WWE thought NXT was getting too big? I remember a time when everyone, and I spoke to Adam about this, everyone's like, I'm watching, my first show I watched this week is NXT. You know, we are where we are now in 2023. It's probably last on my list. I'll make no bones about saying that. I don't really watch NXT anymore. When you guys were in it, it was the show to watch. Do you think that might have been at the detriment to you guys? Because WWE have gone, hang on a minute. Yeah, we want you to like NXT, but Raw, SmackDown, I mean, but everyone, the vibe around NXT probably 7, 8, 9 years ago when it first started was incredible. You know, the black and yellow brand, it was incredible. Just got to look at the takeovers. So, you know, you've appeared in them yourself. Some of the best pay-per-views I've ever seen in my life. Do you think that NXT is kind of reined back now? What was it for you guys? Because you're up and coming and you're meant to be quote unquote developmental. And all of a sudden everyone's thinking, no, NXT is our most favorite show.
Yeah, no, that was one of the coolest things to watch it go from, like I said, I was there at the end of the actual full-on FCW days, kind of an island unto itself, developmental technically, but even I remember talking to a lot of guys there when I got there. It's like it doesn't really, it doesn't feel like WWE. It doesn't really feel like it. Just you grind it out, and then if you get the call up, you get the call up. We didn't really see much of WWE personalities, all this stuff, and to see that go from the warehouse in Tampa. All right, and they're building the performance center. All right, everybody, we're going to move to Orlando. Oh, now it's picking up full sale. NXT TV is really picking up. Started going on the road, the takeovers. I mean, takeover at the Barclays, selling that out was immense. Yeah. So do I think it was to the detriment? No, of course not. I mean, you got to go. You got to go big. If you're growing, keep growing. You know what I mean? You're not going to like hold yourself back. And I don't think there was ever any, a lot of people think this. I don't think there was ever any direct actual like bitterness from main roster or like the office or anything like, oh, they're too big, they're too successful. No company on earth is ever mad when a branch of their company is too but I do think we because we talked about it, and honestly, Triple H kind of fanned these flames a little bit of like between talent on a totally like respectful level. Nobody was like angry, but like show them up. You know what I mean? Like, we've got TakeOver on Saturday, SummerSlam's on Sunday. Make them work twice as hard tomorrow night. Like, Hunter would give us those speeches and be like, scare them. Make them go, holy crap, how do we follow what those kids or whatever you want to do last night. You know,
yeah,
and
because that was
I'll
the
be
main
honest,
vibe, wasn't it? At the weekends, everyone's
yeah,
like, "What was your favorite show?" Everyone's like, "NXT."
yeah, Takeover, man. It was the talk of the town, and so there's some things I always want people to think about though too, because after having transitioned to the main roster, there's issues that I think they've learned a little bit from, but not 100% though. That there were advantages to NXT that WWE didn't have or had to contend with a lot more, and something a lot of people don't think about. NXT, we had a great format with takeovers. They were short. They didn't feel over long. They were usually like 2.5 hours, pushing 3, at least at the time. They grew later, but pushing 3 for the longest ones, but they were like 230, 240, 6 to 7 matches.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody's got 20 minutes or something like that. You got some cool entrances and stuff like that. Nothing feels rushed. And a lot of that is because we have like the luxury of everybody, like I'm trying to think of how to explain this. Like, you didn't miss out technically, like from a financial or anything level, if you weren't on an NXT takeover.
Yeah.
You wanted to be there because it was freaking awesome to be on there.
Yeah.
When you're on the main roster, the contracts work a little differently. You're not on the show, you're not getting paid, or not nearly as much. You might be getting your base, whatever,
your downside, is it
to be at catering. Yeah. But man, like Summers, you've got a much larger roster, everybody jockeying to everybody. Hey, can we get on the show? Okay, all right, let's throw an 8-man tag on the show, get these guys paid. There's a lot of that political stuff that the main roster, both office and talent, had to deal with. So like that's why I specifically remember Takeover and then SummerSlam. Takeover was a better show, but I'm like, man, because they were trying to squeeze kind of like Mania, get everybody on that SummerSlam card. It was like 10 matches long, and it felt bloated and everything. The quality was good of the matches on there, but yeah, no, it's hard to beat. We had a very streamlined system. And I think they've learned a little bit from that. I think they've changed up contracts a teeny tiny bit and everything. And I remember I've seen some WWE premium live events that seem a little bit more scaled to that, like 7 matches. Everybody's got time. They're trying to adopt. You can see Hunter maybe trying to adopt that on the main roster more. But that said, no, we were very, very, very proud of making ourselves the talk of the town whenever those popped off.
Yeah, they certainly were. We're gonna, before we get into the Rusev Day bit, and I love that, but we want to play a little game. We play 2 games generally, one in the middle and one near the end to break it up. It's my game, but I'm not going to say I nicked it from Sean Oliver at Kayfabe Commentaries at all. No,
but I did.
I did. Yeah. This is word association. So this is just, I'm going to throw 8 wrestlers at you, and you tell us the first word sentence that comes into your head when I say his name. And the first name, aptly enough, is Rusev.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
People doesn't get enough credit for his absolute great comedic timing.
I literally have criminally underrated written down here.
100%.
Very underrated.
Yeah. And funny enough, his next one was his wife, Lana.
Really sweet. Like she plays a bad lady, but she's super sweet.
Very well. The next one is Chad Gable, and I don't want to get me started on him because I won't be sharp, but Chad Gable.
Freak. I mean, physically the most, and he talk about underrated. Even more so than Rusev, just because criminally underrated, a absolute physical specimen, and disciplined beyond belief.
He's literally Kurt Angle of now.
He's 2.0. Yeah, he is the modern day Kurt Angle.
100%.
Simon Gotch, your old partner.
Unique.
He was
incredibly unique.
He may have an issue with the next name underneath here. I've heard a lot of Enzo.
Loud.
Yeah.
Loud, man. Man, they got he will go and talk until the crows come home.
I can imagine that when we play Shot Clock, I think I know one of the answers to the questions now you said that, but we'll cover it. Tom Hannifan on Impact.
Incredibly talented, also underrated.
Very, very underrated. Bully Ray.
Heel, man. Through and through.
24/7.
Yep.
The last one on the list before we move into Rusev Day was Sami Callihan.
Dude, I don't have one word for Sami Callihan. I think he layered, I would say. Sammy, he's and before we move on, just he's the death machine, right? And you know, a lot of his hardcore matches and like all that stuff. But man, like after having worked with him, not only in Impact, but I do some work with him at his Wrestling Revolver promotion over here in the States. And he does everything. Like this guy, like he gets his hands in and like he does the video editing. He gets really great. He's not just like getting photographers like, oh, I want people to take pictures. So we have like, he gets these like artistic photographers. He wants this to have a cool, edgy, unique look. Like he's super creative, super hands-on, has like great production value. Like he's kind of like Tony Khan-ish, Vince. He's that kind of guy when it comes to his promotion, but I just that kind of creativity, that kind of work ethic that I think a lot of people don't see outside of that Death Machine character. So big ups to Sammy.
Yeah, definitely. Matt, we can't have you on and not talk about one of the most famous days ever. You've probably spoke about this till the cows come home. Rusev Day got to be one of the most popular things I think I've ever seen in wrestling. You talk about the Yes movement. You talk about things like that of modern era that, you know, that people are going to remember. How on earth did Rusev Day come about? How did they pitch it to you? How did you feel this would go, first of all? Did you think it would get... Did you think...
You think they pitched that?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm about to say. Who come up with the idea? I mean, what did it even shock you how over it got? And do you feel that WWE didn't take it as far as it could have gone?
So we'll start at the beginning. Yeah. So that was not a pitch from them or us, really. That was just kind of a thing that happened. Okay. And that's what made it so cool. It was truly one of the few truly organic movements in pro wrestling.
Kind of like the Yes movement, because that's how that was just listening to the crowd, really.
100%. So like what it really, the real primordial ooze of it all was Rusev was doing that program at the time with Randy Orton when this all started. And I was coming off of, Simon was released and I was doing some things on my own, very, very little here and there. And literally it was just a matter of booking. They booked me in like some kind of a pseudo squash with Randy, who was also, I own a disqualification win over Randy Orton. I just want you to know that. But during that time, and like, so they were just, during that time, they were going to have me just play like a little ships passing in the night part. Right, where Rusev comes out, I've already been beaten, but I distract Randy for 2 seconds. Rusev kicks him, blah blah kind of thing. So I'm just like literally a pawn in the thing, probably to be just left off TV for the next part of it or whatever as they moved on in their story. But then I don't know. I don't know who to this day. I don't know who. I think they were like, well, we had the kid who can sing, who did the singing thing out there already. Well, Rusev's going to celebrate his this attack, this victory over Randy. Like, let's get the singing guy to sing for Rusev. Yeah. So I remember I got a call like 2 days before SmackDown, or 2 days before I had to leave, and they were like, "You need to get a tux, and you need to learn the Bulgarian national anthem."
Oh my God.
Which, if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, is in Bulgarian. And I don't speak Bulgarian. So I remember, not only do I have to find a fitted tux on, basically before I get on a plane, 24 hours notice, right? I also have to learn the national anthem of a foreign language country to me. So luckily, I go to like a Men's Warehouse, I get fitted, and I'm like, weird thing, but I'm like, take my measurements, but I need to pick this up in, I believe it was Phoenix. They're like, and I need to do it like tomorrow. And they're like, I think we can do it. And luckily they were able to make it happen. So I literally landed on the plane, drove to a mall, picked up the tux. The entire plane ride, I'm listening on my headphones over and over again to get the words. And they did that segment where it was the mayor of Plovdiv, Bulgaria, which is where Rusev was from, was going to declare it the first official Rusev Day in the city of Plovdiv, and declare it. And I was going to sing it and everything like that. And then Randy comes out and RKOs everybody. But so the way, but yeah. And then in the backstage, Randy goes, "Hey, well, I guess," he goes to the interviewer, "Happy Rusev Day, huh, everybody?" and leaves. Once again, never to be thought of again. And they were going to continue their rivalry. But then everywhere we went, started small, like, oh, when you come out here, come like, Rusev Day, kind of thing. And we're like, well, that's kind of cool. And then like they booked me in another segment with him. Like, again, I wasn't even with him in the match. I remember I came out and like did a talk show segment for a pay-per-view talking about Rusev. And then they started putting us on house shows together. And then I don't even remember when like I officially started doing like the intro. But then once that started happening, then the chants started going everywhere and then it started happening when we weren't even in the match or whatever. It was happening in the buildings before the show started, so on and so forth. So it literally just organically grew from there. And we just we rode the wave and we tried to push it as much as it would go, often against the grain.
Amazing. That was a great. I love Rusev. I thought it was great. Switching gears, Impact Wrestling now. So, bit of a brief story. It was massive over here in the UK. Well, Andy, when was the last time we met each other face to face? 15 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. We haven't seen each other for a
seriously,
long time.
This is a true story.
Yeah, we reconnected through the podcast and wrestling and stuff like that. But but I'd say about good 13, 14, 15 years ago, TNA then was
TNA
enormous over in the UK. Obviously, Hogan and Bischoff and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we used to be on Challenge TV, and they'd lost the contract, and we haven't really had to see it since. I started really picking it up over the last 6 to 12 months, and I would say, number one, it is quietly going about its business very, very well indeed. And the roster, I think you've got a mixture of experience and hunger that basically reminds me of you guys in NXT. You've got the likes of PCO, Bully Ray. You had Dreamer. I know he's obviously gone away for a bit now. Mickey James. You've got like Trey Miguel and Speedball Bailey and people like Julian Grace, the pocket rocket, as I call her, with a physique that I wish I could have. And you and Tom Hannifan, which I think was one of the most underrated gets of the last few years. Just even getting Tom Hannifan in, obviously calling WrestleMania. What is going on there? Because it is coming right back up to level. I mean, I was talking to Santino last week, and he was saying that potentially there's some things in the works that may be coming back over to the UK and stuff. But it just seems to be shooting back up there again.
Under the radar as well, man. It's like so well. I mean, at the minute, a lot of people are talking WWE and AEW, and I'm like, I love the way that Impact are just slowly, and everyone now is like, kind of not segueing completely away from AEW, and like it's kind of seen as the sister of WWE. Impact, for me, they're resurging, and they're resurging fast.
Yeah, I think there's some really cool thing, and I love the early NXT comparison because that's how it feels. Because you have a lot of there's some great veteran talent, but I think we're really truly anchored by young, hungry, like really motivated talent across all our divisions, and a creative team that is open to new and wacky ideas. They're not afraid to try stuff. They're not afraid to go outside. Like some of these larger companies, they don't want to rock the boat too much. They got their formats. They don't want to step outside that. We're really willing to kind of try some off the wall stuff. But I'll say this too. I will put our in-ring product on a week-to-week basis up against absolutely anybody in the world as far as just quality, because man, the tag team division, the X division, the knockouts. I think I've said this. I think we have the best women's wrestling division on any television show in the world.
I absolutely agree with that.
It's unreal, and I think that we're starting to all finally. That's been true, probably you say for the last year. I think even a little bit further than that as we go on and on. But now with that starting to build a little bit of momentum, we're starting to also get some of these kind of behind the scenes moves that Anthem just announced. We've got a couple new executives in charge who have got great resumes. So like we're seeing these good moves where it's like, okay, I don't think it's going to be some explosion. You're not going to all of a sudden see us on TNT next day to like we're not all of a sudden show up on NBC or anything like that.
But that was TNA's problem, wasn't it? They moved around. Back in the day, it was like they're on this TV channel, they're on that TV channel. I didn't know where to find them. Now you've got Impact Plus. I can literally pick up my mobile phone. There's Impact. You can sign up for Impact. It seems that Impact have finally gone right. Let's get back to what got us to this dance. Let's remember who we were, and let's invest in young upcoming talent. And it's a bit like WWE back in the day in the Attitude Era. They went, okay, Nitro, you can take all this known talent and have them. We're going to build our own roster. Impact now have gone, okay, everyone, WWE, AEW, you can have all these superstars, and you've got all the AEW, you've got these ex-WWE guys. Impact have gone, do you know what? We're going to build this on our own, and we're going to build from the foundations up. And I think that's been to the detriment of the company, because even I know myself and Adam and more fans over here that I speak to are like, you seen Impact recently? I'm like, yeah, it's really good.
Yes. No, and I tell everyone, especially like, I mean, if you can get our weekly TV show, which everyone always says, I know we're on a small cable channel in the US here, but of course there is the Impact Plus, but also anywhere on earth, YouTube, $1 a month. If you join the little membership program, you can at least you get the weekly episodes of Impact. We put them up on a 30-minute delay every single Thursday, and you get them without commercials, all that stuff. You get every single week for $1 a month. So if you're in the middle of Zimbabwe, and have an internet connection, you can watch Impact. But of course, we're always looking to hopefully get to a wider audience, get to a bigger maybe network at some point. But like you're saying, I mean, it's a slow burn. I think we're chugging along, making a lot of great moves. And I tell everybody, especially so that watch the TV show, but anytime we put on, one of our, whether it's our bigger pay-per-view events or more of our live Impact Plus specials, those always, incredible. I can't remember the last time we had one that I was even like, that was okay. I'm like, they've either been, that was great or that was phenomenal.
Yeah. It's good. Hopefully, we'll get back to the TNA of old. People like AJ Styles and Christopher Daniels are coming in. I hope so. I really enjoyed when we went, Andy.
Mate, I remember watching the X Division and things like that. I was like, "What is this company?" And give me more of them.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully, we'll get more. I mean, say AXS TV, I believe. Yes. That's another one. Yeah. We're gonna before we wrap up. So we're gonna start to wrap up. We can't go without playing Shot Clock. We definitely can't go without playing
this game.
So this is the game, again, Steve Austin didn't trademark this, so I don't know. I'm going to ask you a few random questions. As I say, 7 of them are wrestling and 1 is a bit more related to, I think, something that you like. I don't know now because you did these earlier.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
They'll probably cut you off halfway through the question and go, Wikipedia's wrong.
Yeah. So anyway, the first question is your favorite arena that you've performed in?
Allstate Arena.
It's simple as Chicago.
Or it's home. The backup answer would be Sumo Hall in Tokyo.
Yep. This is the one that stumps a lot of wrestlers. So, and it has done. If you ever get a chance and you want to watch us more, please do. Andy will give it all the feeds later.
At HCT Buckle on Twitter.
Yeah. Favorite entrance music of a favorite.
Oh no. It doesn't stump. There's just too many choices, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have a really big so again, Sammy spent a lot of the time in the tag team division, both NXT and on the main roster, but especially I got to do some of my most fun work with Rusev Day on the tag team division. We worked a ton with New Day and the Usos. So I love the New Day's music. I like the New Day as people and their entrance even more. So like we would just mess with them. But the Usos music, that when the day one-ish music, whenever that first debuted, went so hard. We like literally, I was like, Woods would rock with it too. Like we were doing like triple threat tag matches in Europe and everything. And I would just sit on the turnbuckle being like, there's that little piano in the background. Like you just vibe with it, even though they're our enemies or whatever. You have to, because it was a beat, man. I love that.
I have to keep changing. Sometimes if I do podcasts about Andy, I play along and I have to change it all the time. What would be your dream match? If you could, not necessarily with you, but if you could put 2 guys in a ring together, living or past, who would it be?
Well, my dream match would have me because I'm selfish. And no, but I have 2, and one is Chad Gable. I've never had a one-on-one match with Chad Gable, a guy who I consider a close friend. And who I was my road wife for about 2 years. And
Adam's
like
mine.
I said, somebody who is just also criminally underrated. But then also I always put this, me and Mustafa Ali. Again, another Chicago guy. There's that connection. But again, another one who's just so damn good, and doesn't get enough credit for what he can do. Doesn't get enough credit for his mind. In the business. He is so smart at how he puts everything together. His run on 205 Live
was crazy.
Like crazy. Talk about another show that like just flew under the radar.
Some great talent on that show.
Oh my God. And he was always, I listened to him put his matches together, and it wasn't just like this and this and this because it's cool. He would have like, well, no, we're going to do this because of this, and which will lead to this. And because of that, he's so smart. So those are my two dream matches I would have loved to have.
So this one is what I'm hoping now after all this. I'm hoping this is right. Your favorite whiskey.
Oh God, that's like asking a parent their favorite child.
Yes, well, at least I got it right. That you know, because I read
yes,
about
no, 100%, huge whiskey nerd, whiskey geek. Oh my God,
I stumped him all in the entrance music.
Yeah,
100%. This closet that you see behind me is literally full of whiskey bottles.
Wow.
So I mean, I have a current collection of like 150, and.
There's a wait till you come to the UK. There's some of the whiskey factories over here.
Yeah. I'm getting into, especially like the scotches and stuff like that. I'm mostly into like American whiskey, bourbon, and rye, but like I love all world whiskeys. So, I guess I'll go with my favorite right now because it changes, on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis sometimes. But my favorite right now is because I just got done doing a single barrel selection with them. So we went there, we sampled barrels right out of the barrel whiskey and everything, and then we picked one to be bottled just for us. It's something I do every year with a couple of friends, and it's called New Riff Distilling out of Claremont, Kentucky, right over the river from no, not Claremont, excuse me, Newport. Claremont is where several other distilleries are, but Newport, Kentucky. New Riff Distilling. They're relatively new. They've been around about 7-8 years now, but they do some incredible stuff. Especially even up against the big guys like your Jack Daniels and your Jim Beams and Buffalo Traces and everything like that. But I love everything about their operation. And like I said, just got done doing a barrel pick with them, and it was
like me and coffee.
Dear. Well, Matthew, I work for a brewery, so if you ever get to the UK, my friend, I've got you.
Noted.
Noted. Yeah. Your favorite belt that's ever come out? Been belt design or belt?
It is a
don't say the current WWE one that was. Oh my God, what on earth was that?
Well, it was as somebody put it. Like, I don't hate it. I don't know if I love it yet. But as somebody pointed out, I love this analogy. It looked like the WCW Big Gold World Heavyweight title was birthing the WWE logo, between its gems. And but no, for me, so I have a soft, even though I don't necessarily think it is the coolest design belt, I have an emotional connection to the Big Blue.
Yes.
Stone Cold's WWF title. It's pretty basic, you know what I mean? But like that was the title when I was really coming of age as a fan, that Stone Cold was thrown around, and like The Rock was in Triple H and everybody was wearing at the time. So like I just am, but I've always really liked that 90s Intercontinental title that actually Cody brought back during his run several years ago, right?
Yeah.
I love that one a lot. The white strap and everything like that.
I've got an emotional one for me, but it's because he's one of my favorite guys. I've got the Rated R spinner.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Yeah. I finally got in. I went to WrestleMania the year before he retired, like the year that he retired. And my whole point was to go there and get it done. Never got it signed. Met him, but never got it signed. And then he done a London Comic-Con. Andy, you was at the event. I didn't even know you
were there, man. Yeah.
And we just showed the pictures the other day. And he finally signed it. I had RVD sign it and Jeff Hardy sign it, but finally got it done, and it's now tucked away. My son has his own Universal title that I can't go anywhere near. Can't go anywhere near this one. We kind of talked about this, but the most underrated talent that you've worked with.
Oh, I mean, between Ali, Gable, I think it goes 100% without saying. I can't mention those guys enough.
No. Who was the best Joker or Ribber that you've worked with?
This one, you know what? This one I have to throw it out to my our late great friend John Huber, Luke Harper, Brody Lee.
Yeah.
World-class human, as we've all, many of his friends have talked about time and time again. Can't say that enough. But The guy, especially that was another one on those European tours because they're so long. Sometimes we're going doing, 19, 20 days in a row, which is about 17 shows, including TV in the middle of it. You got to keep yourself entertained because a lot of time also the cards are the same each night. So like we're kind of running these matches back. So it's like even we get bored. So we would often try to find ways to pop each other in the back and like, make each other laugh. We would do challenges. Like every match tonight has to do a one-handed tomahawk chop somewhere. And I remember doing a European tour where it was Rusev wrestling like Jeff Hardy every night. And so like they'd have to get like everybody's got to do super kicks. They did and Jeff Hardy, no, double axe handles. Everybody's got to do double axe handles at some point. So I took a double axe handle from Jeff Hardy. We got Randy Orton to do a super kick, even though he never ever throws super kicks. We're like, Randy, you got to. He's like, oh no, man, like that. We're like, come on, and we got him to do it. It was great.
Brilliant. And the last one. Oh,
but wait, I got to throw out Harper. There was a Wyatt family tag match on one European tour, and each day he would add more and more to his pose at the beginning of a match along the tour, and just do like ridiculous. He started off doing Dana Brooke poses, who would come out and do like the bodybuilding poses and stuff like that, and then he would do like the Archer bow and arrow thing, and he would do like he started doing a lot of his stuff there. He would do like 6 poses in a row by the end of it. It was so funny.
Oh, brilliant.
Last one, and you may have already touched on this. Who is the most like their character outside of the rest? I thought it was going to be Enzo, to be honest, because you just said earlier on. But
I mean, that's not a bad answer for sure, because I mean that's a lot of just him. I mean, honestly, I'll say the people who kind of just get to be themselves. New Day.
Yeah,
man, those guys. I mean, again, like we've often heard in interviews and everything, the best characters, the best personas are just real life things cranked up.
Yep,
and that's them, man. They're serious athletes. They're incredible at what they do, but man, they have a good time. They're genuine friends. That's none of that's an act. You know what I mean? You see it in all the New Day podcast, the up, down, down, all that stuff. It's all so genuine, and so. They literally found a gig where they can just take the goofiest, most fun parts of their personality and just turn it up for TV. It's great.
Excellent.
But screw Kofi Kingston because he hit me in the face with a pancake on an entrance one time. I haven't forgotten.
No, there you go. Andy, that's the game done.
Oh, mate, what a podcast. Matthew, thank you so much, my friend. It's so grateful of you to take some time to come on our little old podcast, my man. We are big fans of your work. We wish you all the luck and all the success in the world, my man. Obviously, you're doing great things now with Impact. We wish you nothing but all the best, and we really hope it goes well. And it's so good that you've come on and
just a quick to add, if you haven't already going, is it Chicago Impact or at the Friday?
Yes, as we're recording this, it is Thursday, April 27th. Tomorrow and the next day we'll be doing tapings right here in my hometown of Chicago. And yes, there is a big surprise for the first day of tapings. There are some rumors out there. I literally can't confirm or deny because I don't.
Don't worry, we don't. No, we wouldn't, because this is going.
We don't want to spoil it.
So yeah,
no, sure, but again, whether you've heard about it, whether you listen to this after it's happened and everything like that, it's just further proof, like we were saying before, to keep your fingers on the pulse of Impact.
If who's we think it is, it's going to be another massive get.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. And Matt, just tell our listeners where they can find you on all the social medias. Like you say, you've touched on what Impact have got coming up. But where can everyone find you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So it's pretty simple for me. One of 2 places, essentially. Drama King Matt will be on across pretty much every platform. There's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all of it. I got various things on Drama King Matt, but then we talked a little bit about it. If you're into the whiskey stuff like me, Wrestling with Whiskey is my Instagram handle where I talk and nerd out about it and share about it, do reviews, stuff like that. So if you're into that thing, go ahead and follow that as well.
Definitely, most definitely. Matt, thank you so much. I hope to see you I hope to see you and Impact back in the UK sometime soon, my man. And you will definitely be welcome back on our podcast. But thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, go and check out our podcast. You can find us on Twitter at HTTBuckle. You can find us on YouTube. Just search the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. We've got our Instagram page. We've got some great guests coming up. They're going to have to go some to top Matt. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I've been your host, Andy Burrows, with my amazing friend and co-host, Mr. Adam Cousins. Till next time, everybody. buckle down, stay safe.